Have you ever felt that when you enter your room, something invisible blocks your peace? As if a heavy energy is preventing blessings from reaching your life. Today, I want to share a powerful message from Padre Pio that could completely transform your surroundings and open the doors to your prosperity. Padre Pio said that the place where you rest is not just a physical space, but also the refuge where your soul renews itself. But what happens if that space is filled with objects that unknowingly attract poverty and negativity? Over the years, I've met people who suffered from insomnia, nightmares, and nighttime anguish. They tried everything: medications, therapies, even cleansing rituals, but peace never came until they discovered something no one had told them. Certain objects in their room were acting as magnets for poverty and spiritual blockage. Today, I'm going to reveal what those objects are so you can cleanse your space and allow blessings to flow freely. These are things that seem harmless but could be affecting your life more than you imagine. We're going to transform your room into a true sanctuary of prosperity and peace. This isn't just about physical cleaning, but a deep spiritual renewal that can change the course of your life. As Padre Pio said, sometimes God allows us to live in scarcity to teach us to value abundance. Before revealing the first object, which will surprise you because it's present in 90% of homes, I want you to understand something crucial. This information isn't just for you. If you feel this message has reached you at this moment, it's because God has a special purpose for you. That's why I ask you to write in the comments, "My room will be a temple of abundance," as an act of faith and commitment to your transformation. What you're about to discover isn't just simple organizational advice, but profound spiritual revelations that Padre Pio shared with some of his closest followers. Although some might say they're just material objects, I assure you their impact on your spiritual and material life is deeper than you imagine. Get ready, because each object we're going to mention has the power to unlock a specific area of your life. The last one is so powerful that you'll need to be fully attentive to understand its true meaning. Your room, that intimate space where we spend almost a third of our lives, isn't just a place to sleep. Padre Pio taught that it's a true personal temple where our soul regenerates and where we can connect more deeply with God. Maria Elena, a follower of our channel and a devoted believer of Padre Pio in Guadalajara, experienced an extraordinary transformation that perfectly illustrates what we're about to reveal. For years, this single mother of three couldn't understand why, despite her unshakable faith and constant work, financial difficulties persisted in her life. Debts grew, opportunities seemed to evade her, and every night she went to bed with an anguish that weighed on her chest, as if an invisible force was blocking all blessings. I prayed the rosary every night. I had my altar, but something wasn't working, Maria Elena shared with us. What she didn't know was that in her own room, surrounding her as she slept, were several of these objects that Padre Pio identified as true magnets of poverty. The first object Padre Pio pointed out as a powerful magnet of poverty is the clothes and shoes you no longer use but keep holding on to. Every unused garment, Padre Pio taught, is like an anchor, keeping your life tied to the past. Look at your closet right now Those clothes you keep just in case you lose weight, those shoes waiting for a special occasion, aren't just objects. They're spiritual chains blocking your prosperity. Maria Elena, whom we mentioned earlier, had 3 closets full of clothes in her room. She kept clothes from when she was younger, from when she had more money, and even clothes from her ex-husband. It was as if by keeping those items, I was clinging to a life that no longer existed, she confessed to us. Upon understanding Padre Pio's message, she decided to do a deep cleaning. She got rid of all those clothes and noticed that almost immediately, new opportunities began to open up in her life. The nighttime anguish disappeared, and little by little, blessings started to arrive. This is just the first step to unlocking prosperity in your life. Padre Pio taught that the objects we keep in our surroundings deeply reflect our spiritual state. Broken electronics, for example, are a clear sign of spiritual blockage. That old phone you keep in the drawer, the watch that no longer works, that tablet with a cracked screen. Padre Pio was very clear about this. What is broken in the material reflects what is blocked in the spiritual. Every damaged device you hold on to is sending a constant message to the universe that you accept incompleteness and dysfunction in your life. They don't just take up physical space, they occupy energetic space, blocking the flow of new blessings. The third object is old papers and documents, old bills, yellowed receipts, documents from debts already paid. Padre Pio said that these papers are like energetic contracts with the past. Every time you keep an old bill, you're telling God that you prefer to hold on to past worries rather than make space for new blessings. Maria Elena had boxes full of receipts and documents from up to 10 years ago. It was as if I were keeping proof of all my struggles, she confessed. Each paper was a reminder of hard times, debts, and worries. The most striking thing is that these 3 objects have something in common. They represent the fear of letting go and a lack of trust in divine providence. Padre Pio taught that the fear of scarcity attracts scarcity itself. When we cling to things from the past, we're telling God that we don't trust His ability to provide us with new and better things. That's why before continuing with the next objects, I invite you to look at your room with new eyes. How many unused clothes do you have? How many broken devices are you keeping? How many old papers are you accumulating? Each of these objects is like a lock on the door through which your blessing should enter. But this isn't just about getting rid of these things. It's about an act of faith, trusting that God has something better prepared for you. As Padre Pio said, the emptiness you leave with faith, God fills with blessings. As we talk about these powerful revelations, I feel in my heart that I must share something special with you. Padre Pio not only taught us about the objects that block our prosperity, he left us a complete treasure of teachings to transform every aspect of our spiritual life. That's why we've prepared something unique and powerful for you. Imagine having in your hands a sacred compendium of Padre Pio's most powerful prayers, the ones he used in moments of greatest spiritual need. In this material, you'll find the specific prayers Padre Pio used to bless spaces, sacred rituals for spiritual cleansing, and powerful novenas for prosperity. It also includes his deepest teachings on the connection between the material and the spiritual. This material is like having Padre Pio as your personal spiritual guide, accompanying you every step of the way in your transformation. You'll find it in the link pinned in the comments, and I assure you, it will be the perfect tool to deepen this path of renewal we're starting together. Now, we're going to reveal the next 3 objects that, according to Padre Pio, are especially dangerous because they directly affect your spirit while you sleep. This is where Maria Elena's story takes a surprising turn. The 4th object is damaged or worn-out furniture, that wobbly nightstand, that squeaky chair, that mirror with a peeling frame. Padre Pio was emphatic. Broken furniture is like a wound in the spirit of your home. Maria Elena had an old dresser with 3 broken drawers. She kept it because it was a family heirloom, but every time she looked at it, she felt a pang of sadness, as if that broken dresser reflected her broken life. Once she understood Padre Pio's message, she decided to get rid of the dresser, and as she did, she felt immediate relief, as if she had closed a deep emotional wound. The 5th object is dead or artificial plants. This might sound controversial, but Padre Pio insisted that a dead plant attracts death to your dreams, and an artificial plant attracts falsehood into your life. Artificial plants, though they may seem decorative, are symbols of false life. And dead plants, which we keep out of laziness or neglect, are like signs announcing that we accept death in our sacred space. Maria Elena had 2 pots with dead plants on her windowsill. She told us that after throwing them away and replacing them with fresh flowers, she began to feel a renewed energy in her home, and opportunities started coming unexpectedly. The 6th object, and this one is particularly delicate, is poorly placed or damaged mirrors. A mirror, Padre Pio taught, doesn't just reflect your physical image, it reflects and multiplies the energy of your space. A cracked, stained, or poorly placed mirror that directly reflects your bed while you sleep is distorting and damaging your spiritual energy during rest. Maria Elena had a large mirror facing her bed. Every night I struggled to sleep, she recalled. I had frequent nightmares and woke up feeling watched. What she didn't know was that the mirror was multiplying her worries while she slept. When she covered it and eventually removed it from her room, she began to sleep better, and the nightmares disappeared. Do you notice the pattern here? These 3 objects have something in common. They all distort reality in your most intimate space. Broken furniture distorts stability, dead plants distort the natural cycle of life, and damaged mirrors distort your own perception and spiritual energy. Padre Pio taught that our sacred space should reflect order, life, and harmony. And when we remove what is broken or dead, we make room for peace, prosperity, and divine blessings to enter. Padre Pio taught us that external order facilitates internal order. When we allow certain distortions to remain in our room, we're normalizing disorder in our spiritual life. It's as if we're telling our subconscious that it's okay to live with what's broken, false, and distorted. Before revealing the last 3 objects, which are the most impactful, I need you to understand something crucial. Your room isn't just a physical space. It's the sanctuary where your soul is restored every night. Every object in it is programming your subconscious mind while you sleep and sending constant messages to the universe about what you accept in your life. The environment surrounding you as you sleep programs your destiny. These words from Padre Pio resonate even more strongly when we truly understand the impact of each object in our room. When Maria Elena finally understood the power of these objects in her life, she began to notice patterns she had previously ignored. The old clothes in her closet didn't just take up physical space. Each garment was like an energetic contract with times of scarcity. I had a dress from when I worked as a housekeeper, she shared. Every time I saw it, I relived that time of hardship. She was keeping a reminder of difficult times, and each piece of clothing was a chain keeping her life anchored to the past. Padre Pio taught that every object in our room has a spiritual voice. Broken electronics, for example, aren't just junk. They're testimonies that we accept dysfunction in our lives. That old radio that doesn't work, Padre Pio said, is like a mouth constantly declaring failure over your life. Here comes a profound revelation about old documents and papers. They aren't just sheets of paper, they're energetic contracts with the past. Maria Elena discovered a box full of receipts from debts already paid. It was as if, unconsciously, I wanted to always remind myself of the hard times, she reflected. Those papers were like chains tying her to a history of scarcity. Padre Pio left us a crucial teaching. What you keep out of fear becomes the anchor that prevents your progress. Every broken object, every old document, every unused garment is an unconscious declaration that we don't fully trust divine providence. Before continuing with the final objects, I want you to pause. Look around your room. How many objects are truly serving your present, and how many are just anchors to the past? Padre Pio said that true prosperity begins when we let go of what no longer serves us. Maria Elena discovered that her room was full of what she called reminders of poverty. Every broken object was like an open wound in her prosperity. Every old paper, a tie to times of scarcity. It was like living in a museum of my failures, she told us with tears in her eyes. But here's the most powerful part. When we understand that these objects aren't just material things, but programmers of our spiritual reality, we can begin a true transformation. As Padre Pio said, what you allow in your sacred space, you attract into your life. Now we come to the last three objects, which, according to Padre Pio, are the most powerful magnets of poverty and negativity. They are so impactful that they completely changed Maria Elena's life when she finally identified them in her room. The seventh object is mementos of painful moments. In Maria Elena's case, she kept a box of letters and photos from her failed marriage in her nightstand. Every night, that box was like an invisible weight on my bed, she confessed. Padre Pio taught that objects holding painful memories are like spiritual poison that spills over while we sleep. These can be photos of ended relationships, gifts from people who hurt us, or reminders of moments we want to forget. Each of these objects is like an open wound that doesn't allow prosperity to flow. Maria Elena finally decided to burn the letters and get rid of the photos. That same night, she slept better and felt a lightness she hadn't experienced in years. The eighth object, and here Padre Pio was especially emphatic, is stopped or broken clocks. Maria Elena had three: a wall clock that stopped when her mother passed away, an old alarm clock that no longer worked, and a damaged wristwatch she kept for sentimental value. A stopped clock, Padre Pio warned, is like a decree of stagnation over your life. Every time you look at a stopped clock, your subconscious registers that you're choosing to live in a frozen time, that you accept paralysis in your life. Maria Elena understood that each stopped clock symbolized a frozen stage of her life, a part of her that had remained stuck in the past. When she decided to remove the clocks from her room, she began to notice immediate changes. Opportunities started to arise, and she felt her life moving forward for the first time in years. The ninth object, the most surprising of all, is items related to vices or past bad habits. This goes beyond the obvious. Maria Elena kept a piggy bank full of old lottery tickets in her room. "It was my vice," she admitted. "I bought lottery tickets thinking it was my only way out of poverty." Padre Pio taught that these objects are like spiritual contracts with our weaknesses. They can be empty cigarette packs we keep as mementos, alcohol bottles we use as decoration, or even seemingly harmless items like betting tickets or gambling receipts. These objects reflect an attachment to a mindset of scarcity and dependency. In the end, Maria Elena decided to throw away the piggy bank and the tickets. As she did, she felt she was symbolically cutting a tie to poverty and despair. Padre Pio left us with a powerful teaching. Our sacred space should reflect order, harmony, and faith. When we remove what is broken, what is dead, and what is tied to the past, we make room for prosperity and blessings to flow freely. Maria Elena's story is living proof that change is possible when we trust in divine providence and free our space from the spiritual chains that bind us to the past. As Padre Pio said, "When you have faith, the emptiness you leave in your life will be filled with abundance and peace." Padre Pio left us with a powerful teaching about these last three objects. What we keep out of pain, fear, or vice becomes the chains that keep us prisoners of our past. Every painful photo, every stopped clock, and every reminder of past vices is a declaration to the universe that we're not ready to receive the blessings God has prepared for us. Now that we know these 9 objects that attract poverty, Padre Pio teaches us exactly how we should remove them from our room. It's not just about throwing them away. There's a spiritual process we must follow to truly release their negative influence from our lives. First, you must choose a day when you have time and peace. Padre Pio suggested that it be a Saturday, a day dedicated to the Virgin Mary. Begin with a simple prayer. "Lord, give me the strength to let go of what no longer serves me and the wisdom to recognize your blessings." For unused clothes and shoes, Padre Pio was specific. Do not give them away without first saying a prayer of release over them. "Lord, I release these garments, and with them I release every covenant of poverty in my life." Maria Elena discovered that each piece of clothing she let go of with this prayer brought her an immediate sense of freedom. For damaged electronics, the process is different. Padre Pio taught that we must declare over each one, "As I release this broken object, I release every connection to failure and dysfunction in my life." Do not keep them just in case the parts are useful. That is maintaining a covenant with incompleteness. For old papers and documents, there is a special ritual. Maria Elena shared with us that Padre Pio recommended going through them one by one, saying, "Thank you for the lesson you gave me. Now I release you with love." Each paper represents a story that has already served its purpose. When we release those documents, we are closing a cycle and creating space for new blessings to enter. Damaged furniture requires a firm decision: either repair it immediately or let it go. There is no middle ground. Padre Pio said that a broken piece of furniture is a declaration that you accept incompleteness in your life. Maria Elena repaired what she could and released the rest, feeling her energy renew with each decision. For mirrors, Padre Pio was very specific. They must be relocated or removed before nightfall. A mirror that reflects your bed multiplies your worries while you sleep. Padre Pio taught that mirrors should be placed where they reflect light and beauty, not your resting space. For objects tied to painful memories and stopped clocks, the process must be deeper. Padre Pio recommended a special prayer. With love and gratitude, I release these memories, and I decree that my time of blessing begins now. This symbolic act represents cutting the emotional ties to the past and opening space for new opportunities to enter. Now, let's return to Maria Elena's story, because what happened after she implemented these teachings from Padre Pio transformed not only her room, but her entire life. The night I decided to begin the spiritual cleansing of my room, Maria Elena tells us with an emotional voice, my hands were trembling. I was afraid to let go of so many things that, even though they hurt me, had become part of my life. The first object she faced was the cracked mirror she had inherited from her grandmother. Maria Elena describes how that mirror, though broken, represented a connection to her family's past. Padre Pio taught that broken mirrors multiply the fractures in our lives. For years, that mirror had been reflecting and multiplying the image of a defeated woman every time she looked into it. The transformation began that very night. After removing the mirror, Maria Elena faced the 3 closets full of clothes she no longer wore. Each piece of clothing held a story of lack, she recalls. The clothes from when I couldn't afford anything better, the uniforms from jobs where I felt less than. I even kept clothes from when I was sick. The most difficult moment came when she found the box with mementos from her failed marriage, photos, letters, and small objects that seemed harmless. But Padre Pio taught that every object that holds pain is like a contract with suffering. Maria Elena explains, as I held those photos in my hands, I could literally feel the weight of those memories in my heart. With tears in her eyes, she decided to burn the letters and discard the photos. It was like closing a wound that had been bleeding for years. The process took 3 full days, 3 days of facing each object, of saying the prayers recommended by Padre Pio, of letting go with love and determination. The most striking part, she tells us, was finding 7 stopped clocks in different places in her room. Each one had stopped during a difficult moment in my life, and I had kept them as monuments to pain, she confessed. When she finally got rid of those clocks, she felt something in her life begin to move. Opportunities that once seemed blocked began to appear almost immediately. Maria Elena also discovered a box of old lottery tickets. It was my vice, she admitted. I bought lottery tickets thinking it was my only way out of poverty. Padre Pio taught that these objects are like spiritual contracts with our weaknesses. They can be cigarette packs, alcohol bottles, or anything that symbolizes a past dependency. When I threw away those tickets, I felt like I was breaking a cycle of desperation, she told us. The results began to manifest immediately. The first night she slept in her clean room, Maria Elena felt a peace she hadn't experienced in years. The nightmares disappeared, and she began to sleep deeply. Soon after, she received an unexpected job offer, and her financial situation began to improve. It was as if the universe had finally received the message that I was ready to receive the blessings God had prepared for me, she told us with a radiant smile. Padre Pio left us with a powerful teaching. Our sacred space must reflect order, harmony, and faith. When we remove what is broken, what is dead, and what is tied to the past, we make room for prosperity and blessings to flow freely. Maria Elena's story is living proof that change is possible when we trust in divine providence and free our space from the spiritual chains that bind us to the past. As Padre Pio said, when you have faith, the emptiness you leave in your life will be filled with abundance and peace. Maria Elena recalls with a smile the first night she was able to sleep deeply in years. It was as if an invisible weight had been lifted from my chest, she told us. Padre Pio taught that the transformation of our physical space is a reflection of our spiritual transformation. That's why, after removing these objects, it's essential to understand the deeper meaning of this cleansing process. When you clean your room of these 9 objects, Padre Pio taught, you are declaring to the universe that you are ready for a new level of blessings. Maria Elena experienced this in an extraordinary way. A few days after cleaning her room, she began to notice significant changes. The first thing I noticed, she tells us, was how my mind cleared. I no longer woke up with that heaviness that used to accompany me. Padre Pio was right when he said that the objects we keep program our thoughts while we sleep. But Padre Pio warns us about something crucial. It's not enough to remove these objects if we don't understand their spiritual meaning. Each object represents a pattern in our life. Old clothes represent our attachment to past identities that no longer serve us. When you keep clothes that no longer fit, Padre Pio taught, you're telling God that you don't trust His ability to clothe you with something new. Broken devices symbolize the acceptance of dysfunction in our lives. Padre Pio was emphatic. Every time you look at something broken and accept it, you're programming your mind to accept incompleteness. Old documents are like energetic contracts with the past. Maria Elena discovered this in a powerful way. When I burned the old papers, I felt as if I were burning karmic debts with my past, she confessed. Damaged furniture represents the structure of our life. A broken piece of furniture, Padre Pio said, is like a crack in the foundation of your prosperity. That's why it's so important to repair or release it. Dead or artificial plants are symbols of stagnant or false life. Padre Pio taught that where there is death or falsehood, true life cannot flow. Poorly placed mirrors distort our spiritual perception. A mirror, Padre Pio warned, can be a window for blessings or a portal for worries. We have reached the most important moment of this sacred revelation from Padre Pio. After learning about these 9 objects that attract poverty and negativity, It's time to take action with faith and determination. Padre Pio taught us that your room is the first temple where God wants to manifest His abundance. It's the sacred space where we spend a third of our lives, where our dreams are born, and where our soul is renewed every night. That's why transforming this space is so crucial for our prosperity. When you remove these 9 objects with faith and awareness, you're declaring to the universe that you're ready to receive greater blessings. This isn't just a physical cleaning, it's an act of faith, a spiritual declaration that you trust in divine providence and are willing to let go of the old to receive the new. Padre Pio left us a powerful promise. When you free your space from these objects that attract poverty, you open the doors for 9 greater blessings to enter your life. Each object you remove with intention creates space for something better to come into your life. I invite you right now, as you finish this message, to stand up and begin this sacred cleansing. Don't put it off. Don't say, "I'll do it tomorrow." The time is now. As Padre Pio said, the grace of God has its time, and that time is always the present. The sacred process begins with an opening prayer. Lord, give me the strength to let go of what no longer serves me, and the wisdom to recognize your blessings. Discard each object with intention and gratitude, declaring words of abundance over your space. If you're going to give away clothes or shoes, say before handing them over, Lord, I release these garments, and with them I release every covenant of poverty in my life. If you're going to throw away electronics, say, as I release this broken object, I release every connection to failure and dysfunction in my life. When you go through old documents, repeat, thank you for the lesson you gave me. Now I release you with love. If you have damaged furniture, decide whether you'll repair it or let it go. Don't accept living with something broken, because that symbolizes accepting an incomplete life. For poorly placed or damaged mirrors, relocate or discard them before nightfall, ensuring they reflect light and beauty, not your bed or resting space. For painful memories and stopped clocks, prayer is clear. With love and gratitude, I release these memories, and I decree that my time of blessing begins now. Maria Elena followed this process to the letter, and the results were immediate. The first night I slept in my clean room, I felt a peace I hadn't experienced in years, she tells us. The nightmares disappeared, and she began to sleep deeply. A few days later, she received an unexpected job offer, and her financial situation began to improve. It was as if the universe had finally received the message that I was ready to receive the blessings God had prepared for me, she confessed with a radiant smile. The transformation was complete. Her relationship with her children improved. New opportunities began to arise, and above all, she felt an inner peace she had never experienced before. Padre Pio left us with a powerful teaching. Our sacred space must reflect order, harmony, and faith. When we remove what is broken, what is dead, and what is tied to the past, we make room for prosperity and blessings to flow freely. Maria Elena's story is living proof that change is possible when we trust in divine providence and free our space from the spiritual chains that bind us to the past. As Padre Pio said, when you have faith, the emptiness you leave in your life will be filled with abundance and peace. If this message has touched your heart, write in the comments, Padre Pio, transform my room into a temple of abundance. Your declaration of faith is the first step toward your transformation. And before we say goodbye, remember these words from Padre Pio. What you release with faith, God replaces with blessings. Don't be afraid to let go of the old, the broken, what no longer serves you. God has something better prepared for you. Share this message with 3 people who need this blessing. Sometimes God uses our hands to deliver His message to those who need it most. May the peace of the Lord and the intercession of Padre Pio fill your room and your life with abundance and blessings. Your transformation begins today, the moment you decide to take this step of faith.